Thank you for tuning in to the latest edition of the 12 Kyle podcast. Whether you're listening during your commute, while working out, or just relaxing at home, we appreciate you. Every download, every listen, and every subscription means a lot. Up next, the 12 Kyle podcast.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for listening. Thank you for downloading. And thank you for subscribing to the latest edition of the 12 Kyle podcast. I am your boy, 12 Kyle. I want to thank you all for tuning in as you do each and every week. Shout out to those of you who are watching on Spotify and YouTube. Man, check this out. I was scrolling through Twitter one day and I came across a tweet. And the tweet was from my homeboy, BZ430. Shout out to my boy B. He's been on the podcast. Me and B go way back. Dead End Sports, Dead End Hip Hop. Man, it's been almost 15 years, maybe a little bit longer than that. That's how far me and B go back. But B had tweeted something actually a couple of years ago. And I saved the tweet, and what I wanted to do was do an episode based on the tweet that he sent. And the tweet is very simple. It says, introduce yourself with one comic book, one film, one album, one TV show. Simple, right? Introduce yourself, meaning like to someone who doesn't know you. So if one of you is listening or watching this podcast and you don't know anything about this person that you're listening to or watching, I'm going to introduce me to you through these mediums. So first up, introduce yourself through a comic book. I like comic books growing up. Comic books may or may not be a thing now. I'm not really sure. My kids didn't really do comic books coming up. But comic books were a thing when I was growing up in the 80s. So if I were going to introduce me to you through a comic book or a comic strip, I would have to go with The Boondocks. Listen, The Boondocks, which obviously became a show in the 2000s, that comic strip, that show was downright hilarious. Shout out to Aaron McGruder, the creator of The Boondocks. Shout out to Regina King, who lent her voices to the characters Huey and Riley. And shout out to the late, great John Witherspoon, who was Pops. Well, not Pops, but you knew him as Pops on the Wayans show, but he was Granddad on The Boondocks. But I love that comic strip, or that comic, really, because I was a lot like Huey. Huey said a lot of things that I totally agree with. Huey was definitely about himself, and he was about his people. And he always questioned things and, asked why we couldn't do things the right way. And Huey didn't take no shit. And I'd like to think that I'm just like Huey in a lot of ways. Now, his younger brother, Riley was going to say anything. He was going to cuss people out. He was going to be rude. He was going to be obnoxious. I'd like to think that I have some Riley tendencies, but most of my friends, or some of my closest friends, like, they are my Riley. So where I'm Huey, they're Riley. But yeah, that's one of my favorite comic books, comic strips. Probably a close second is X-Men. But yeah, so if I'm introducing someone to me through a comic book or a comic show, it would definitely be The Boondocks. If you have not seen The Boondocks, which was, I want to say The Boondocks was 4 seasons of The Boondocks. It's on streaming and whatever else you can find it. But it is downright comedy. Please do yourself a favor and check it out. One film to introduce me. I got to go with the classic Coming to America. Coming to America is one of my favorite movies of all time. It is literally a movie that if it came on TV today, I literally would stop what I'm doing and I would sit and watch it as if I'd never seen it before. I know every single line. Eddie Murphy, you could say that was when Eddie Murphy was in his prime. He crushed this. He and Arsenio Hall did their thing, and this movie is still funny to this day. It's one of those movies. For me, it was a feel-good movie. Not only was it funny, but there was a storyline there. But when you think about all the cameos and all of the great lines that came from this particular movie, for me, I remember seeing it, and I want to say I saw it at the movies first, and then I saw it the first week that it came out. I think I saw it like on a Saturday night. And then when I came to school that following Monday, everybody was talking about Coming to America. And I want to say this movie came out in like 1992, I think. So when I went to school or class, because I think I was in college at the time at South Carolina State, everybody was talking about it. And so like, it's one of those things where, you know, you had to be there, right? And if you were there, you remember like how it went down. So definitely Coming to America, to me, it's a classic, it's a classic movie. And again, it's one that I will watch over and over and over again. If I were going to introduce you to me via an album, I love so many albums. This album isn't the greatest album of all time, but it is one of the best and one of my favorite albums. 1984 from the Purple One, Prince, Purple Rain. I believe it's 9 songs, and that album to me is flawless. No skips. I'm a huge Prince fan. This album and I've said it before on this podcast, as well as the Rap Soul podcast, that my favorite song from Prince it's a B-side on this album. My mom originally bought the 45 for me. Shout out to the 45s. And it was actually purple. Are you feeling nostalgic for the golden eras of rap and soul music? If so, tune in to the Rap Soul podcast. We are your weekly journey through the 80s, 90s, and 2000s, spotlighting the music and the hidden gems that shape the soundtrack of our lives. From the powerful beats to the soulful melodies, we bring you the best of the past with fresh insights and stories. Rediscover the music that defined a generation. Subscribe to the Rap Soul podcast and enjoy the vibes. If you want a podcast where culture, conversation, and life collide, where you get insightful commentary, engaging discussions, and a fresh perspective on everything, then you need to listen to the 12 Kyle podcast. Hosted by the one and only, yours truly, 12 Kyle, a voice that you know and trust. This podcast will bring you thought-provoking moments, compelling stories, and a whole lot of fun. Whether you're a first-time listener or just tuning in, each episode promises to be something new and exciting. So sit back, relax, join 12 Kyle, myself, and my guests as we break down the world around us and give you stories that you've never heard before, from nostalgic throwbacks to everything in between. The 12 Kyle podcast is a front row seat to this conversation. Subscribe now and never miss an episode of the 12 Kyle podcast, where the vibe is always real and the discussion is always worth your time. And the 45 for this album was a single called When Doves Cry, which I think may have been was it the first single? It was either the first or second single. I can't remember if Let's Go Crazy was the first single or When Doves Cry. But I want to say When Doves Cry probably was the first single. Without y'all look it up. But on the B-side, shout out to B-sides. Nobody makes B-sides anymore. The B-side was a song called 17 Days. And I played that record every day, all day. And it became my favorite Prince song. So, but that song isn't on Purple Rain. Purple Rain, like I said, is only 9 songs. It's a flawless album. If you want to know me, man, you couldn't tell me I wasn't Prince. I wanted to be like Prince. When I when I moved to Minneapolis for a year for work, the first place that I went after I left my hotel, I checked into my hotel, I got my rental car. Well, let me go back. I landed, went to the airport, landed at the airport, got my rental car, went to the hotel, checked in. The first place that I went was Lake Minnetonka. If you know, you know. Never got a chance to meet Prince before he left us, but heavily influenced by his music, and it started with this album. So if I were going to introduce myself through an album, it would be Purple Rain. So we did the comic book, we did the film, we did the album. Last up, the TV show. Introducing myself through a TV show. Now, I could easily say some of the greats, but one of my favorite TV shows of all time is A Different World. Obviously, A Different World, historically black college, was featured there. The fictional Hillman College, where Denise Huxtable only landed for a year, and then she subsequently left or dropped out of. Did Denise drop out or did she flunk out? I can't even remember. I think she flunked out. Nonetheless, there was a character on there by the name of Dwayne Wayne, and Dwayne Wayne, I think, embodied some of me at the time when I became a college freshman at South Carolina State University. Not really sure what I was doing when I first got there, trying to find my way. But once I found my footing, sky was the limit. Like, you could literally, looking back on it, I could literally see myself taking off academically on the football field, because I played football, and in everything socially in between, especially with the ladies. But maybe I should save that for another podcast episode. But yeah, it was a different. I could identify with a lot of characters and a lot of things that showed up on that show. I'm one of many kids who you'll hear say this following statement: if it had not been for A Different World, I probably would not have gone to an HBCU. And that's true. I mean, it was one of my first visions of what an HBCU would look like. Now, I'd been on the campus of South Carolina State before. And I had a cousin there at the time that I enrolled in the fall of 1991. But, seeing it on TV and then actually visiting a school and actually going to school there, you got a chance to live out your own A Different World. So you were at your own Hillman College, if you will. And many of the experiences and the things that you saw in that TV show, I could identify with. And what was interesting was there was a parallel time frame in which, I was in school and that show was still on TV. So I was living a lot of what we were seeing on TV. But yeah, I could identify with Dwayne. Ron a little bit. Ron was a little too wild and goofy for me. But dope show. But yeah, if I was going to introduce someone to 12 Kyle through a TV medium, it would definitely be that. So in conclusion, I think, first and foremost, I got to thank B for shooting out that tweet, even though it was almost 2 years ago. But things like that, I think if you pay attention, you can find content. Not that I was trying to, make a podcast about it, but when I saw it, I immediately thought about making a podcast about it. But yeah, if I was introducing someone who did not know anything about me, and they said, well, hey, how can we get to know you through a different type of medium other than you just sitting here telling us who you are and what you do, or, where you're from or anything like that? I think it would be those four key things. In conclusion, I think if you pay attention, there probably are a lot more things that you have seen that you identify with, whether it be a comic show or a comic strip or a comic TV show, or an album or a movie or a TV show. It just depends on who you are and what you're actually trying to accomplish. But I think ultimately, if you look at these things and you spend a little bit of time with them, you can find out and see a little bit of me in these things. And that would really and truly be my introduction to you. Ladies and gentlemen, that's going to do it for me. Thanks again for checking out this edition of the 12 Kyle podcast. Be sure to subscribe to the podcast. We drop new episodes every Sunday and every Thursday. Also, check out our new baby. It is called the Rap Soul Podcast. Strictly for you music fans. It is a great intersection where we have discussions about music and artists from the 80s, the 90s, and the 2000s when it comes to rap, soul, hip hop, and R&B. If you're on YouTube, check us out, youtube.com/12 Kyle podcast. We also have a YouTube page for the Rap Soul Podcast. Also, we have merch. Check out our merch. Go to the link in the description box, click merch. That is the place where you can purchase 12 Kyle podcast t-shirts, hoodies, as well as coffee mugs. We got it for the low. Also, if you'd like to contribute to the podcast financially, hit us up on Cash App. $TWELVEKYLE. Ladies and gentlemen, that's going to do it for me. This has been another edition of the 12 Kyle podcast. I am your boy 12 Kyle. I'll catch you guys next time. 5,000. Cheers.
Thanks again for listening to this episode of the 12 Kyle podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure that you hit the subscribe button and share this podcast with a friend who needs the 12 Kyle podcast in their life. Every listen, every download, and every share helps us grow. Thanks for being a part of the 12 Kyle podcast community. We appreciate your support. We will catch you next time. 5,000.